What's up, y'all? It's JC. If you're new, welcome to the channel. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. So we have a NBA rumor floating around out there. Of course, a couple of days ago, the Rockets made headlines trading for Kevin Durant, and it's got people talking. The Rockets are positioning themselves to make a run at an NBA championship this upcoming season, and for the foreseeable future, I'm sure a few more years as well. They think that championship window is open, and the roster isn't quite filled up yet for the Houston Rockets, right? Um, Fred VanVleet, he has a team option, I believe a 44 mil. Whether It's been a discussion that the Rockets are trying to bring him back, but on a more team friendly deal, in hopes of creating more cap, maybe to bring in another, like I mentioned in my previous video, bringing another wing or guard to go along with the roster. So that's been something that hasn't been quite dealt out yet, hasn't been ironed out yet. And Brian Windhorst, Wendy, after the KD trade went down, I saw on Twitter, or I saw somewhere, maybe Instagram, that Wendy posted that the Rockets are not done. They may not be done, I should say. They may not be done, and they may want to get another star. So that I didn't think much of it at the time, but then I started scrolling through, Twitter, NBA Twitter, and people were bringing up the one and only, no other than James Harden. So James Harden has a player option, if I'm not mistaken, this season. Well, this all season with the Clippers, I think it's in the 30 mil range or 35, 36 mil range. And people are, they came up with will the Rockets let Fred VanVleet walk? James Harden declines his player option, and then they bring in James Harden, and now you have a projected lineup of Harden, Amin Thompson, KD, Bari, and Shangun. Now, on paper, that's not bad at all. On paper, that's not bad at all. But in my opinion, I think the number one priority for the Rockets will be to try to get Fred VanVleet. I think that's number one priority because I think him and Ime Udoka have, a special bond or relationship or whatever the case may be. I think they have a lot of respect for each other, a lot of trust between the two of them. That Fred VanVleet, I think that's Ime's guy. Um, he struggled. He had spots in which he struggled last season during the regular season, but Ime always, had his back. He kept reinforcing that he's the leader of this team. And in the playoffs against the Warriors, man, you saw, the last three games, Fred VanVleet put the team on his back, man. That championship pedigree that he has, that dog mentality, coming from a mid-major in Wichita State. He was, I think he was undrafted too, right? Smaller guard with 5'11", 6 feet, and being able to be who he is in the NBA, an NBA All-Star a few years back. So that's something that I think Ime respects a lot, and he's going to try to get Fred VanVleet back on the team. That's going to be number one priority when it comes to that point guard spot. And when it comes to Harden, like, don't get it twisted. I'm a Rockets fan. The Harden era was, was great, man. It he elevated Houston to a new level that, year in and year out, the team was one of the top teams in the NBA, right? And he was the head of, he was the head of the snake. He was the leader, MVP. Like, he put up great numbers, right? So it's no disrespect to Harden, but I look at it like this. And of course, James Harden's game isn't the same as he was, 5 years ago, right? 5 years, like he's not the ISO guy, even though he can still do it. He can still do it. He's not He's not going out there. His mentality isn't to go out there score 30, right? That's not him anymore at this age. Um, so I get that his game has changed, but I look at it like this. Again, this is no disrespect to Harden. I got I got the Harden jersey upstairs, man. I look at it like this. Don't you know when you're a kid and you go to the ice cream, like you see a commercial or something, or you see a picture, it's like ice cream, it's like all these toppings, and you may have fudge on the ice cream sundae with gummy bears and sprinkles and all that, right? Chocolate chips, all that, right? That may be appeasing or appealing as a kid, but when you get older, it's like, I don't need all that. I don't really need all that. That's too much. That's too much. I think in this situation, especially if the goal is to continue to develop Amin Thompson, because let's not get it twisted. Harden, he needs the ball in his hands like he still does. Even though his game has changed, he's still ball dominant. You want Amin to develop. You want Alpi to develop, right? A guy like KD, he doesn't need the ball in his hands. He could catch and shoot. He one dribble, two dribble, shots up, right? He can get to his spots. I think Fred VanVleet the same way. I don't think even though he can dominate, he does he can run the point, he can run the show, but he doesn't need the ball in his hands. He's shown that he can catch and shoot, right? He can play off ball. I think it's just a little bit. I think adding Harden would be a little bit too much, in my opinion. Not saying that it couldn't work. I think the number one priority is to get Fred VanVleet back and, continue from there. Men, I'm ready. Like, I think, he just made all defensive team. Albie was just an all-star. Man, I feel like the sky's the limit. Barring injury, the sky's the limit. Those are my thoughts in the comments. Let me know yours.